All right, gang, welcome to, this is going to be part 4, or part 3, I'm sorry. Part 3 of laying out your boards so you start to nail them. So what I've cut here, let me see if this works at all for us. I have my 2 long pieces, I have my 2 short pieces. And when we make a shadow box, typically what we do is we take a long piece on the bottom, and then the 2 shorts, and then a long one on the top, okay? Which, as you can all tell, is very different than if we put the longs down there and put the shorts. So see how one way the box is long and skinny, and the other way it is shorter and taller. And so this is the correct way to nail together your box. So I'm going to take my 2 7-inch pieces, I'm going to set them aside for now. I'm going to take my 8s, or my longer boards, which are both 11.5 exactly. And what I want to do is I want to measure out so that when I pound a nail through here, it really goes right into the center of this board, okay? And so we know that this board is 3/4 thick total, so half of 3/4 is 3/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure in from the end of the board. I'm going to measure 3/8. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to measure 3/8. Okay? And then I'm going to take my square or my straight edge, whatever you have to use, and I'm going to draw a line here. And I'm going to draw a line here. Okay? And the best part is I don't even need to remeasure. I can just come over here and put a mark on both of those. And again, I'm going to take my square and I'm going to put a mark here. And I'm going to put a mark here. So now, that tells me that if I put the nails through this line, it should go into the short piece right into the center, okay? Now, in the past, I've had kids, they tend to put their nails right out here on the edges of the board. So what I want to do is I'm going to have you come up a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to measure this up a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to measure down a 1/2 inch. Okay? And I'm going to do that on all these boards so I know exactly where I want those nails. I don't want those nails too close to the edges, because if you put them too close to the edge, what's going to happen, if I nail this out here somewhere, it's going to follow the grain structure right out there and probably rip a chunk off that looks about like that. Okay? So you want to scoot it in a little bit more so that it's a little more resistant to that. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to measure in 3/8, I'm sorry, 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch. Okay? And same thing here, a 1/2 and a 1/2. So now my boards are ready to start nailing. So I'm going to start with these 2 long boards. And I have my bag of nails here, so I'm going to grab a couple nails out of there. I don't like to set the nails down on my table, because what will happen is you'll forget one's there, and if you put this on the top and then smack the board, what you're going to end up with is it'll pound that nail into the surface and you'll be able to see it on there. So I like to keep them in my hands or in the bag and just go for one every time I need one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these finished nails and I'm going to set it in a 1/2 and over 3/8. Okay? And then I'm going to put this one right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap those down. I don't want to go all the way through the board. I don't want them sticking through here. But I want them in. Right now is the easiest it is to nail. When it's just a flat board sitting flat on a workbench, it's pretty easy. We don't want you to go too far. We don't want nail holes in your parents' workbench in the garage or on the concrete on the patio. So I'm going to set those 2 nails in until I think they're about coming through. I'm going to guess they're probably an 1/8 inch short. Then I'm going to take my 7-inch board and I'm going to put it up here so I can nail this in. Now, it's extremely difficult to hold this in place. It wants to wiggle all over. So I'm just going to set the other 7 piece over here so it holds it level and straight for me, okay? Now, it is important when you nail this to make sure that the end of this board and the outside of the 7 board are flush and even and lined up, okay? So I'm going to get them lined up. Give that a little tap. That one looks pretty good. And I'm going to pound those all the way down until they're flush. Notice I'm not trying to pound on those nails real hard. I'd rather hit it a few extra times and take my time than to miss and put dents all over the boards with your hammer, okay? Now that I have my nails flush with the top of the wood, I'm going to take this thing called a nail set, and I'm going to set it directly on top of the nail. Now when I do this, I use my whole hand. I know some people hold it like this. I think if I can get all my fingers onto the nail set and my arm onto the board, it's likely not to slip off when I set those nails down. And as you can see, I've set them down below the surface so that I can put some putty or filler in front of them, and then when we stain it, you won't see the nails, okay? So I have made the letter L, or the number 7, however you see it. I'm gonna make 2 of those. So there's one. I'm going to come in here and do my other one real quick. And a nail here. And a nail here. Alright, and then, again, I'm going to set this up here. Now, I don't have my 7-piece to put underneath here, so this one's a little more difficult. So I'm just going to line it up by hand. Drag that one down. Do the next one, and then set that nail, set that nail. So now I have 2 pieces that I'm ready to nail together. When you do this, I always have kids that have the same problem, is they'll line up this edge over here, and they'll get that all lined up, and they'll say, oh, this one doesn't line up. And sometimes it's even worse than that. All I'm going to do is focus on one at a time. So if I get these 2 lined up where I want them, and a couple nails in there, so a nail in here, and I guarantee you before you're done with this, you're going to hit your finger with a hammer, and we don't charge that, it's free. So then we're going to tap those down, and again, oops, let me get this on there a little deeper. One of the things, we want to make sure this is flush. If this is sucked in there or hanging down in there, it's going to make this opening smaller. And if it's stuck out, if it's hanging out and you can put hit your fingernail or hit your fingernail going this way, we got to fix that, okay? Because we need them to be really very, very close. All right, so I got this one lined up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and nail set those. Okay, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to have to do a little forcing and maneuvering to get these to line up. So I'm going to get this one started, just like I have on all the other ones. And again, I will tell you, every year when we do shadow boxes, the kids say I make this look really easy. And I think there's probably a reason for that, because I have pounded probably 9 million nails in my life. And so I have a lot of practice at it, and it works out pretty well. Okay, set my nails down, set my nails, and that's what we want to start with. That is the outside of your shadow box. Now, this is going to take you more time than it took me. It took me 5 minutes to nail it together. It could take you an hour or so to get everything cut and start nailing. So take your time. Don't get frustrated. It's really easy to get frustrated and then be like, I don't want to do this. So take your time, get some help, be patient, okay? All right, next video is what to do with a bent nail. All right, see you soon.